In today's instalment of Things That a Source has apparently told the press, Prince Harry and Meghan have apparently reached out to Princess Catherine. Harry is feeling homesick, looking for a new home in the UK, and apparently they want to repair the frosty relationship with the royal family. Now, before we get into the article, which I'll read from The Independent, which I'll link in the description below so you can read it in full for yourself and form your own views and opinions, this is obviously just my initial take on reading this bit of gossip here that I can share with you. And it also, again, seems just a bit strange to me that a source or an insider or somebody close to the Sussexes can just reach out and tell the press all of this information, and they report it as though it's just someone rang them up. Now, it could well be Harry or Meghan or both of them having a chat with the press themselves. I'm not saying it is. It could be. Or, as I said before, it could be somebody that works for them, knows them, friends with them, somebody they've asked to ring up the press and say, just tell them this, let's get the story out there and let's give them a bit of information. I find that all a little bit irritating in the sense that, whether it is them or someone close to them, whether it's without their knowledge, would be a bit ironic given all the court cases about privacy and things like that. But nonetheless, it's out in the news and here it is. But as for the details and what they've said, I would support repairing this frosty relationship with the royal family. But I do think that it requires some kind of apology as to all of the publications that have been made and the damage that's been done. Because there's no denying that there is this frosty relationship between them all, and so I do think that needs to be repaired. The article says that according to an insider, the Sussexes want to let bygones be bygones and repair the frosty relationship with the royal family. Now, it sounds to me very much like something that someone close to them would know. So it's either someone, a friend of theirs, or it's one of them. Who knows? It says, all they can do is continue to reach out and offer olive branches, according to this source. Despite their bad blood, Meghan's heart goes out to Kate, Princess Catherine. She can only imagine how hard this situation must be for her. Now, of course, everybody does. Everybody has outpoured their support on social media because going through any kind of illness like that is horrendous. I know plenty of people myself that have been through it, and it is horrendous. It's a horrendous situation to be in. It says Harry last visited the UK in May to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games, stayed in London, etc. And royal expert Kinsey Schofield says, I hear that Harry's both content with his new lifestyle and homesick. But I'm not quite sure how it can be both. I suppose it could be both. I suppose he can be content over there and also homesick. You can miss your home country if you're away from home. But there were also further comments in the press as to a lack of public announcement by Prince Harry for Father's Day to his father, King Charles. Now, I'm not entirely certain that those criticisms are warranted. Does everybody need to have a public show of affection and make some kind of public statement for everything like that? Especially given that they have taken a step back from public royal duties and they keep saying that they want this private life, etc. But the irony and the paradox here is, if this is a source close to the Sussexes and it sounds like they are quoting phrases from conversations, then the question remains, is it with their blessing, or is it something that is done as a betrayal of trust and confidence, in which case they ought to be looking to bring a claim against whoever it is that's leaked this information? But if it is with their blessing and they do know about these conversations with the press from this insider, if indeed it is somebody close to them and it's not them themselves, I mean, who knows, right? But if it is with their blessing, then they are living up to some sort of public appearance, public perception, public persona, keeping up their public profile. And if they do that, then they can't necessarily have it both ways. They can't necessarily want and insist on the private citizenship status and privacy that comes along with all of that, at the same time as either feeding or supporting the feeding of stories to the press, such as it is. if they are reportedly homesick, looking to rekindle the relationship, looking for a new home in the UK, etc. All of which I support. I mean, I support families getting along. I support the rekindling of relationships. I support repairing broken connections and things like that. And if he's homesick and he's looking for somewhere in the UK, then that's entirely up to him, obviously. And so that might lend some credence to the criticisms that he might know public support for Father's Day. Again, as I say, I don't think you can quite have it both ways. I don't think you can have complete privacy at the same time as expect not to receive that sort of public criticism. And so, as I said in my previous video, I always support letting go of negativity and conflict and repairing and rebuilding relationships. I think it is far easier to have nice and friendly relationships than it is to fight a negative one. So thank you all, by the way, for your lovely comments in my last video, in response to my last video. Forgive the voice, by the way. I've been talking all day, sort of side effect of being a barrister. You end up talking a lot and sometimes lose your voice. But thank you all for your lovely comments in response to the last video, because I do feel that that was an area that can assist a lot of people. If someone is carrying around negativity and they are suffering from a previous bad relationship or a bad business deal, or they are regretting something that's happened previously and they want to move on and they want to let go, we all have that decision at some point. And we've all been through it. I've certainly been through it many, many times. In business, I've been through many of these different struggles and difficult situations. And sometimes you do have to make a conscious choice to move on and move forward, move through, and not let those previous past and negative things hold you down and hold you back, because they will eat away at you. A lot of these things will gnaw at your soul, and you will have less and less energy to move forward and do positive things. So right now you might be sitting there thinking, well, do I fight this thing and do I challenge this thing? Or instead, do I just move on with something positive? Now, in many cases, it is better to move on and do something positive. You can stick around and fight something, but there is always, almost always, a much more positive way of dealing with it. And if people can have a meeting of minds, that's a legal phraseology, usually for the formation of contracts, but it applies to lots of other things as well. I always say that meeting of minds is not just a legal phrase for contract formation and legal principles, but it can also be for the resolution of issues and to resolve matters amicably, sensibly, so that you can all move on. And for that, there must be a meeting of minds, even if that it's not the outcome you wanted, even if you're moving forward and it's not exactly what you wanted. As we have a saying in mediation that it is better for both sides to be slightly annoyed but move on more positively than it is to keep fighting, because at the end, even when people go to court, they very often feel like they've lost, even if they technically win the case. So it can often feel very much better to resolve things and then move on. The same is true for relationships. The same is true for all these kind of arguments. So I genuinely wish Prince Harry and Meghan Markle the best in their endeavours to repair this relationship, if that is what they're trying to do. But I do think that there needs to be some humility there as to what has happened over the last few years with the publications, the books, the interviews, and all of the things that many people feel that has damaged and insulted the reputation of the royal family. Even some of those who don't necessarily support the royal family as a rule feel that a lot of these publications have gone too far, that I've read in comments and things like that. So I do think that there needs to be some repair, rebuild of this relationship to, as they put it, to mend this frosty relationship between them. I wish them the best, and I hope that that's true, and I hope that that happens. And if anyone watching is in a similar position right now, I would urge you to take the same approach, try to repair those relationships. And I wish you the very best, wholeheartedly, and I hope that that works for you and again brings you some peace. Thank you for watching. Please do make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next time.